is with the amplification of social media, uh, there's something about social media that feels even more accelerated lately. It's in more places. I think videos have gotten shorter, so we're taking in more videos. Um, and what else? There's people, work is invading people's space. Uh, by the time the pandemic hit, stuff went through the roof. But so I can't, if we're looking at 2018, it doesn't include pandemic, but I feel like a lot of things were accelerating. My response is that it's time for us to have a conversation. I mean, because we all grew up having the talk, wow, the black male talk, what to look out for, how to act when you get pulled over, how far to walk behind old ladies, so they don't panic and pepper spray you. So we all had that. I like to say it's time to have the conversation. The difference is in conversation is there's more symmetry and feedback, because a lot of us, our parents will tell you what you need to be told, and then that's it. Nod, smile, don't make too much eye contact and look disrespectful. So the conversation, the purpose of the conversation is to actually have an exchange of information. There's some validation that's good for each other. And I think it's time for that. I think that with stuff reaching into home like that, with bullying hitting our kids around the clock nowadays, where if people are making fun of you, you're going viral. So even away from home, you got to run the risk of who is grouping up and talking about you. How am I doing online? How do I look? Self presentation. I think a lot of that has something to do with it. One of the things I learned is that even the substances, the kids, if a kid wants to just smoke a little something nowadays, it's not, the THC concentration is through the roof, where we're seeing different conditions and even THC-induced psychosis, stuff that wasn't there before. And with any bigger high comes a bigger low, and also I think the music in particular kind of troubles me. I never thought I would get to the point where I would be like, yo, this music is wild. When I grew up, you might hear Bacardi, Pastor Cavassier, and that was one level. But now it's a lot of promethazine, purple, which is cough syrup with other stuff mixed in. Let's talk about Addies, which could be either Ativan or Adderall. They talk about painkillers, and it's just, they're embedded in the songs, particularly in the hooks a lot of times. And it's just so present in the songs that you assume that that's the cool thing. So a lot of the kids, it's more casual to deal with stuff like that. And I think that would affect Black male parents as much as Black male children, because I feel like our generation, the dads, I feel like at 50, I feel like 50 is a lot younger than it was for my old man. Because I remember my old man always, like, even with his friends, there was a certain amount of seriousness, or at least presentation of seriousness, that I don't feel that we do. There weren't no daddies. There was no dad bod, which made it okay for you to have your belly and all that. I think a lot of the social media, again, has normalized certain things, but it's also kept us, the older Black men, that even though we were out of the high school dynamic with the cool kids, etc., we're still in contact with a certain group of people, where if we were a nerd back in the day, we might still feel like a nerd with that psychographic. And now everybody knows we're a nerd. So it's not like we're just a nerd at school and we're okay at home. If you're getting made fun of, your kids get to see it and everything. I think that level of social media across two generations is doing something. I also think that all the device time is decreasing empathy. And even though Facebook increases oxytocin, I think that we're thinking that video is doing something that it's not, because we can see each other and we can interact, but it's not the same as being face to face. We're not doing the physical contact, which we can't live without that. I also think that, I sound like an old man again. I'm also thinking that there's an increase in sexuality going on right now. And the downside of that is that we're taking something that used to have a different meaning, and we've made it so visceral now. The music, again, is talking about it, where it's like, where's the mystery? Where's the seduction? And it's blown my mind that I'm actually saying that, because I remember When I was growing up, I was fresh out of Miami. Uncle Luke had just dropped Pop That P, Pop That
Right.
D. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
I thought, okay, that's enough songs
Oh,
for
our
now.
jams. Those are our jams. That's right.
Yeah. So
The
so
basis
I
of
was like, this
Freaknik, all that.
industry. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, all those things. It
Yeah.
was, but there was still a compartment. R&B was still more R&B-ish. And
Yes.
rappers weren't singing R&B, so R&B didn't have to have that jagged edge. And there were private and romantic
No
songs.
pun intended.
You know, it happened. No, but there was a space of romance.
Yes.
There was a space of mystery. There was a song I was listening to the other day. It was like Snapchat that P. It literally. Nowadays it's expected to do certain things earlier uh, and more frequently, and I think that eliminates pursuit of certain things. And when you get everything that at one point were things that were chased, even if you had to act a certain way, then the mating ritual, so to speak, it's gotten broken.
Mm.
Gotten broken to me, and those are places of shame that should have been places of intimacy. So I think the absence of that, a lot of that is gone now, and with that comes objectification, demystification, and a loss of even religion. Again, things that spirituality is different now.
Yes.
A lot of the mythology that each of us had, and I don't mean mythology in a bad way. I mean the stories that we had growing up to keep us feeling safe. Those things don't exist as much anymore.
Wow.
So to me, all those things are play a role.
I love that. I love that. You blew my mind with the mating ritual comment. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's not the same with social media. We used to have to court, we or be courted. You used to have to make phone calls. You used to have to write letters. You used to have to wait to be able to hold hands and walk down the hall. Nowadays you can just shoot any kind of video and send it to that person.
Yeah. Do you remember Do you like me, yes or no?
Right,
You had to
right.
pass a note to
That's
somebody, you
right. You
had
had
to
to
ask
wait.
a friend of a friend to meet
hmm
somebody.
You had to put it in their
Yeah.
locker and then you had to wait
Yep.
to receive
Yep.
it. Right.
Yep.
Wow. Absolutely mind blowing. So to think more positively, so now that we know what's wrong and what has changed the rates of mental illness and suicide and all these bad things, let's talk about Black Boy Joy. Let's talk about that. That also has been trending on social media. Have you been seeing a lot about Black Boy Joy
I
online and
have.
Black men taking good care of themselves? What have you been
I
seeing?
have. I've seen black men frolicking,
Yes, my favorite.
which I love that. I mean, dudes out there dancing or whatever.
Cartwheeling, I love it.
Yeah, and I love that. There is an evolution of uh, gender roles. There's an evolution of being more tolerant to different sexual thoughts and all those things. And even though I feel like in the African American community, we're more reluctant to let that in, I think that there's more of an opportunity to find a less hyper masculine, hyper vigilant, honestly damaged version of masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of a you can hug your man, your boys. I can hug my kid. I can tell my kid I love you. Which I don't think in my dad's generation he did much of that. It was shake a hand, teach him to be a man.
Right.
I think more bromances, we're allowed more of that. And even the group of belonging now, if you don't fit in locally, you can find a group online that you do get along with. That's one of the things. And, for me, it means I get to geek online with other people who like spend a lot of random time, reading encyclopedias, just geeking out. Now it's Wikipedia, but just folks that normally have an interest and weren't really available, and you had a feeling of not belonging and isolated. I think now it's a lot better where you can reach people over a longer distance. And a lot of the stuff now, I love memes. So one of my favorite things right now is my wife and I can swap texts and memes throughout the day. She's a professor, so she's busy, but she can send me a quick meme, or the asynchronous communication that gives me a lot of joy. The fact that there's so much music and media There was a time when I wasn't, I was numbing myself with TV, but now I'm able to be more present to it. And so that gives me a lot of joy because we can select something to watch. My wife and I watch a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to have my own business, so I control my hours. And so I get to spend more time with my kids than I used to in traditional medicine. I get to be there for events. As I mentioned, I do more meditation and just mindfulness work. So there's a much more of a chance to be present. Mm-hmm. So presence is one of the things I'm really into because, more, this is meditation geek type stuff, Wusa, prayer circle, singing circle type stuff. But there's a level of presence that you can get when you're calm and you're really connected, where it's like the world gets brighter. Mm-hmm. Things that you would normally pass by, I get to see them. One of the things that was important during my wife and my therapy, both of us live in our brains, because like I said, she's a co-geek. So one of the things they said to us during relationship therapy was keep an eye out for the color purple. Have you ever wondered how beautiful it is a world that God made the color purple? Mm-hmm. So we started doing more of that, and we started noticing purple all around us. And we took it even further to just notice different aspects of being present. We're more present with each other, which allows us to have the relationship that we have, as opposed to the relationships that we've had before, projecting, any of my trauma doesn't end up pouring in any of stuff she might have in her past, any prior relationships. The ability to be present and be as vulnerable as I've gotten to be with my wife, because she speaks in real time. If something's bothering her, you're going to know now. and vice versa, because like I said, we don't argue so much as we communicate in the moment. So that gives me a lot of joy because growing up, I always wondered if I'd be able to find someone where I could be this authentic. Mm. But back then it wasn't really about finding the person. It was taking responsibility for my own emotions, which took me a while to learn to do, the level of self-awareness. So just being able to be this level of present. My kids are getting older. My youngest is 18. And we had a dark period because, like I said, their mom passed away from cancer about 3 years ago. But the part of joy about that is I was sort of a busy dad. And suddenly I had to do all the stuff that traditionally I would displace. And my ex-wife was super, super organized. So she took care of everything. Suddenly I was registering kids for school. I was having to sit in the bus line anytime that I forgot to send in the bus forms. I'm picking out outfits. I'm making lunches in the morning. And so I had to come up with a routine. And so what I found is every day is more meaningful. Every day is more meaningful. Another source of joy is I have 4 kids now. My wife and I, we adapted to the blended family. So the opportunity to have 4 kids, 2 of whichever's right, 2 that I didn't have to raise from birth, because I remember staying up all night with the first 2 and I was good. So I got some microwave kids, so we have a larger family. We listen to a lot of audiobooks. I didn't listen to a lot of recreational reading before, and now we do a lot of mystery books together and geek that way.
I think medical school ruins reading a bit for a lot of us. I can't remember the last time. I mean, other than a magazine here or there, like in the airport, I can't think of the last time that I sat down with a book for fun. And I need to change that. But with all that reading we did, and it still have to do, like, who wants to do that? So
no, reading for fun, it expands the imagination. And I had forgotten about my creative aspects, and I got back into composing music. GarageBand is amazing. And just things that normally I wouldn't have had time to do, I've brought back into my life. And without the need to do that, to master them as soon as I touch them. Yes. The beginner's mind, I've had a lot more open-mindedness, growth mindset, etc. So all those things are giving me joy. I feel like it's a great time to be alive, and it might have been a great time for other people, sure, but I was too busy to notice before.